Have you ever wondered how we got from room-sized computers to the powerful smartphones in our pockets? It's a pretty amazing journey, and today we will explore it together. The history of computers is filled with debates about invention and ownership. We will also look into who actually invented the computer. So let's dive in and see how these incredible machines have shaped our world. Here's a surprise. Pay close attention because hidden within this episode is a quiz question. Answer it correctly, and you could walk away with a cool $100 PayPal cash prize. Let's start at the very beginning. Computers have been around for over 2 centuries, but they didn't always look like the ones we use today. In the early days, people used simple tools like the abacus to do math. These weren't really computers, but they helped people count and solve problems. In the 1600s, some smart folks started dreaming about machines that could do complex math. One of these people was Gottfried Leibniz. He built a calculator that could add, subtract, multiply, and divide. It was a big step forward, but it was still just a calculator. Then came Charles Babbage in the 1800s. He's often called the father of computers because his ideas were way ahead of his time. Do you know who wrote the very first computer program? It was a woman named Ada Lovelace. Her friend Charles Babbage tried to build a big machine called the analytical engine. He only finished a small part of it, but Ada wrote lots of detailed notes about how the machine could work. She even figured out how it could be used to calculate special numbers called Bernoulli numbers. This was basically the first computer program. Ada was so important that people named a computer language after her. It's just called Ada. Also, every year on the second Tuesday of October, we celebrate Ada Lovelace Day. On this day, we honor women who have done great things in science, technology, engineering, and math. The history of computers is filled with debates about invention and ownership. So, who invented the computer? Alan Turing created the Turing machine in 1936. This theoretical device laid the groundwork for modern computing. Alan Turing is called the father of modern computer science. John Atanasoff and Clifford Berry built the Atanasoff-Berry computer in 1942. It was the first electronic digital computer. The question of who invented the computer has no easy answer. Many claim the title of father of computing. The computer revolution sparked fierce legal battles over patents and copyrights. Honeywell versus Sperry Rand was a landmark case. It centered on the ENIAC patent. The court invalidated the patent in 1973, opening up computer tech to wider development. Apple and Microsoft fought over graphical user interfaces in the 1980s. Apple claimed Microsoft copied the Mac OS. The courts ultimately ruled in Microsoft's favor. Patent wars continue even today. Tech giants often sue each other over smartphone and software patents. These battles shape the products we use daily. Charles Babbage designed 2 important machines: the difference engine and the analytical engine. The difference engine was meant to solve math problems and print the answers. The analytical engine was even more advanced. It could store numbers, do math, and even be programmed like modern computers. Sadly, these machines were too complex to build with the technology of the time. As we moved into the 1900s, things started to get more interesting. George Boole created something called Boolean algebra. It uses only true and false values, which became super important for computer logic later on. Hermann Hollerith made a big leap forward with his tabulating machine. It used punch cards to process data for the US Census. This made counting much faster and showed how machines could handle lots of information. Now, let's fast forward to the 1940s. This is when electronic computers really took off. The first electronic computers used things called vacuum tubes. These tubes controlled the flow of electricity and acted like switches. They were much faster than the mechanical parts used before. ENIAC, electronic numerical integrator, and computer, was one of the most famous early computers. It was built in 1945 at the University of Pennsylvania. ENIAC was huge. It took up a whole room and used about 17,000 vacuum tubes. But it could do complex math much faster than anything before it. A really important feature of ENIAC was that it could be programmed. This meant it could be set up to do different tasks without being rebuilt. Programmers used switches and cables to give ENIAC instructions. As technology improved, computers got smaller and more powerful. In 1947, the transistor was invented. Transistors were smaller, more reliable, and used less power than vacuum tubes. This was a big deal because it meant computers could be smaller and work better. The 1960s and 70s saw more big changes. Integrated circuits were invented. These are tiny chips that contain multiple transistors and other parts. This made computers even smaller and faster. Then came the microprocessor in the early 1970s. This put a whole central processing unit on a single chip. It was a game changer that led to personal computers. Speaking of personal computers, they really took off in the 1980s. Companies like Apple, Commodore, and IBM started selling computers for homes and small offices. These machines brought computing to regular people for the first time. The internet was another huge development. It started in the 1960s as a way for researchers to share data. But in the 1990s, it exploded with the creation of the World Wide Web. Suddenly, anyone could access information, send emails, and connect with people around the world. As we moved into the 2000s, computers kept getting smaller and more powerful. Laptops became popular, offering the power of a desktop in a portable package. Then came smartphones. The iPhone, launched in 2007, changed everything. It puts a powerful computer in our pockets with access to the internet, apps, and more. Tablets followed soon after, offering yet another way to use computers. Today, we're seeing amazing advances in artificial intelligence and quantum computing. AI is making computers smarter, helping with things like voice assistants and self-driving cars. Quantum computers promise to solve complex problems much faster than traditional computers. We're also thinking more about how computers affect our world. Green computing focuses on making computers more energy efficient and easier to recycle. Looking to the future, we can expect computers to become even more integrated into our lives. We might see brain-computer interfaces that let us control devices with our thoughts. Virtual and augmented reality could change how we work and play. But as technology advances, we'll need to think carefully about privacy and security. It's important to balance progress with protecting people's rights and safety. Here's today's quiz question. Who won the battle over graphical user interfaces in the 1980s? A. Apple. B. Google. C. Microsoft. D. Honeywell. So there you have it, the amazing journey of computers from room-sized machines to pocket-sized powerhouses. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more evolution history. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.